Many mining companies today, they already leverage great innovations from technology partners, like the fellow, presenter today. However, there is a really critical operation in the mining companies, but overlooked is enterprise analytics. So my name is Brian. I'm founder of Schemon, which is a universal collaborative data platform for everyone. So let's actually deep dive into what is data analytics at enterprise level. So for instance, today, Chamirai, as a mining company COO, would ask me, hey, Brian, can you provide me a report on last month's operation? And I, as a data analyst, probably trying to validate business requirements and validate where the data sources are, and then trying to pull data into our system and then create some sort of query formula, and finally I present the report. So it's fast, it's cheap. He's happy, I'm happy. And tomorrow, he's gonna ask me, hey, Brian, can you actually do more reports based on the same thing that we've done so far? And then I have to repeat it over and over and over again. In perfect world, we can actually keep repeating it. But the reality here is you're gonna end up seeing some bugs in the data, formula is not right, and yet the business is changing all the time. So I have to always troubleshoot where the problem is. I have to update the business logics. So the delivery becomes slower. Data is not accurate anymore. And then I lost trust from Chamirai. And moreover, we have compliance, audit risk, because the data is simply scattered around different, databases or tables. So there is a hidden long-term cost. So what we started as fast and cheap eventually becomes slow, costly, and risky for the business. What is the solution? Okay, Chami and I went to Databricks conference and then, hey, Brian, I'm gonna find a data engineer for you to work with you, to support your analytics. So, because data engineer, by practice, they apply the software engineering best practices to build a data pipeline automation, which is scalable, reliable, and they can integrate any sort of data systems or data sources. And then they actually make sure the pipeline is performing really well and optimized. So it actually lays the foundation of analytics. But there's the dark side of it. It actually requires a lot of investment and time to set it up, build, and maintain. And yet, I have to depend on my data engineer work in order to deliver the reports that Chimera is asking me. Most importantly, there is a hidden friction between data analysts and data engineers is because we speak different languages, we have different priorities. Like, we care about the, data pipeline performance, servers, make sure this is running 24/7 all the time. But me, as a data analyst, I just curious about the insights that Chimera is asking me, right? So the process is totally different, and the tools we're using are totally different as well. So in order to solve the original problems, we actually introduce new problems. So it's slow again. And we now have two teams that Chimera has to manage, has to, coordinate, and the metrics are different. And finally, again, the costs keep rising. Is there a different approach? So what if data analyst builds the data pipeline with the best practices applied from the software engineering perspective? Because I, as a data engineer, I know business, I know data, I know how to translate those business into data requirements and vice versa. And I am adaptable to fast-changing business operation, and I know how to actually communicate well with the business stakeholders. Unfortunately, there's no tools out there designed specifically around my strengths. So I always ended up, trying different tools different solutions, and still there's no perfect solution for me to actually leverage. So, is there a way that we can bring the best of two worlds? So, agility from analytics and precision of engineers. So the problem is today, data analysts can explore, understand the data, but turning those data insights into Silicon Valley or best-class data pipelines still requires data engineering skills. So introducing Schemon. It is a universal collaborative data analytics platform. It bridges the gap between analysts and engineers, enables analysts to turn their business logic into scalable, reliable, production-ready data workflows built on top of your existing data platforms or systems already. So it is universal because we work with any type of data sources and any type of your existing technology solution. And it is collaborative because we bring everyone in data operation together into our unified system. It is for everyone, whether you are data governance officer, you are a business user, you are a data analyst, you can simply use our tool to achieve the excellence in data operation. How we do it? So we do have a proprietary data contract, which is essentially a shared agreement between different stakeholders in the data operation that defines how data products should be built and governed. So the data contract contains the data structure you want to build, the transformation, we call it recipe. It's just like product, beverages, you have a recipe, right? So we call it recipe, and it also contains metadata, data quality policies, the ownership information, which leads to the SLA, SLO. So going back to our original data analysis flow, so I, as a data analyst, after I query, design the query, develop the formula, instead of writing this information directly into the report and database, we actually move those into our contract interface. So the business requirements goes directly into the data contract, and with some sort of help from the AI, we will help data analysts to actually translate that into different components like data quality policies, like SQL scripts that you want to transform, and so on and so forth. Then our proprietary engine behind the scene will actually do the data engineering for you. Like this is like, AI data engineer do all the heavy liftings for you so that you don't have to worry about the performance. You don't have to worry about redundancy. You don't have to worry about any SLA, violations. It just check everything for you, and then you get the report. More importantly, there's no extra work required for the data analysts because they are already doing the same work anyway, just do it on our platform. So what's the benefit? By having this unified or central data contract in the middle, you have a centralized, consistent data definitions. Like what is this data? How this data being built? Who is data for? And so on and so forth. And then from the governance perspective, it's predictable because everything is written in the contract. And then it's governed, it's transparent, it's auditable. And so it actually enables the data governance ongoing. So it involves everyone. So Schemon turns the fast and cheap solution into fast, cheap, governed, and reliable by making data contract as the center of everything. So why it matters in the mining industry? With all the due respect, mining companies are not software companies. So you don't make money or you don't generate value from the data by creating Silicon Valley top-grade, top-class data pipelines. Your value is from the data you probed and you extracted, you analyzed. That's where your data is actually making the most sense for the business. Plus, for mining industry, when it comes to data operation, you don't have to introduce or adopt new operations because mining itself is a data or is refining process, right? So data operation is essentially similar to mining operation. You extract the raw material, we extract the raw data, then we refine the data, based on some requirements, some specifications, and then finally we deliver the final data product. Same thing. So it is actually natural for you guys to adopt the data operation best practices. So Schemon, you can think of us as another software OEM for your enterprise data analytics. So case study, it's a quick one. So one of our clients, they are doing the slope reconciliation by extracting data, from different source systems. Basically they want to understand, what they have recovered and what they have planned and so on and so forth from the enterprise level, because they have 5 to 10 different sites that they're reporting on these numbers every month. And 2 analysts, they have to perform this task every month manually by collecting the data, validating the raw logics, and before it actually goes into the executive level. So we go in, help them automate the data validation, data extraction, and all those data pipelining work for them. And as a result, they will achieve 90% saving in technology and time. So the analyst was able to work on more data analytics rather than fixing the pipeline, fixing the formula, and so on and so forth. So current stage, we have successfully implemented 2 pilots in Canada. By deploying our core data contract engine to their site. And our web application is currently under development. It should be coming in, a few weeks. And we have received 2 grants so far, one from OCI to work with Cambrian College to build the front-end software and an AI engine as well. And we also received the IPON patent grant to apply the US patent application, which is already applied. And then we're currently working on the international PCD patent application. So what we're looking for, of course, more pilots, and we like to, understand your, analytics problems, and we like to, come in and to provide our support. And we also need, need some capital to actually grow our team, from technology perspective and as well as the sales side. And most importantly, we like to connect today with our, technology partners to, to understand, their specific problems when they're actually talking to their clients. Because I'm sure data is the center of everything, it's foundational stuff. So I'm sure, there's a lot of data things that we can help. Our business model is actually tentative right now. We actually provide, software licensing as well as the consulting, but we actually charge much less than the traditional data operation, because our proprietary technology allows us to actually achieve the same thing at higher speed, at the higher, I would say, it's better product. So by joining us, as an early customer, we would offer, a lot of, custom support, but most importantly, you would have direct influence over our product design because we like to, solve your immediate problems as soon as possible. So thank you, Mercy.
All right, thank you, Brian. I think I'll go first. You know what, I think it's important for people to note that data is actually a resource, that needs to be mobilized and cared for, just like you said, a mineral resource. And also, I think, mining is definitely a decision-making business, what is making decisions. But my question for you is, the way that you have got your software, right? Can your software operate on-prem without it needing to go on the cloud? And the reason I ask the question is, many mining operators don't want their data to leave site, to end up in some cloud location somewhere. And I think you and I have spoken before, Canada doesn't do very well when it comes to having its own data centers that are actually in Canada, right? There's a lot of data centers that are Canadian that are not in Canada. So what are your thoughts around, that idea of the security of the data? Can your software work on-prem? Is it cloud-based? How does that function?
So as a software company, we don't really limit our deployment to any form of hardware. So as long as the mining site has a local underground servers that we can run on, it should be fine. But our solution itself is primarily designed for the corporate right now. So in a corporate, officers, corporate employees, they don't really go to the mining site to run the analytics. Rather, they actually run those analytics on their laptop, sitting in a corporate office, right? But another way of thinking this is more like we can actually help the existing technology vendors and then help them to actually provide those analytic because they all have the built-in reporting modules, right? So they probably have the engineering team as well, so we can probably help them to actually customize certain reports based on some existing clients so that they can deliver a customized reports faster and release to their customers.
Hey Brian, two-part question for you. Part one, can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got here? And the second one is why mining? Why not manufacturing or chemicals or gas and oil? Why focus on mining?
So let me actually answer the second question first. Canada is big in mining and energy, right? So I wanted to succeed in one of the biggest industry in Canada, so I can actually go horizontal scale to different industries. So that's why I chose mining in the first place. And coincidentally, I ended up having a client from the mining industry, and that they were actually doing the enterprise analytics, and I get to learn a lot more around the analytic operations in the mining industry itself. So that's why I ended up being here. And my background, I've been working as a data architect, data business intelligence, data engineers for larger corporate in US, in Canada before. So yeah, so my whole career is around the data operations and trying to optimize, trying to improve the overall efficiency around the data operations.
Good, thanks, Brian. Maybe two-part question. First of all, what is your biggest limitation when you have your discussion with sites? What's holding them back to do some piloting?
With the site operators?
Yeah.
So I haven't really reached to site operators yet because we're built for the enterprise analytics for mining companies right now. But generally speaking, when it comes to approaching mining companies, it's actually easier to talk to the companies already have the internal, data operations going on rather than junior mining companies who don't really have any operation at all, right? So from that perspective, it is actually quite easy for us to show the benefits because, honestly speaking, I haven't seen any mining companies or any other, enterprises in the world who's not in the IT industry achieved a good data operation yet. There are a lot of buzzwords around, like data mesh. There are so many different things going on, but the biggest problem here is that a lot of technology vendors in the analytic world, like Databricks, Snowflake, they're trying to solve the actual operation problem using the technology. But technology is only part of the, people, process, technology, triangle, right? So we actually come in from different angle. Yes, we're going to actually build a technology framework for you, a solution for you to actually leverage the best out of your existing technology vendors. But at the same time, we actually want to make sure that the contract itself is centered around your operation. So instead of introducing another data governance framework that you have to constantly run a meeting, say, hey, this is data owner, and finance team doesn't want to share the data with the other team. Let's just simply write those information into a contract and let us enforce it. So you don't really have to introduce a new program internally, which is not really familiar to your existing employees around data operation. Rather, let's give you guys a framework, a contract framework, so you guys can actually build within and scale out of it.